My name is Semyon. I'm Touchdown's founder. Previously, I worked in tech for the last decades, built a number of businesses, primarily in the crypto and payment space. Personally, I relocated to and started living in Portugal 4 years ago. And we're going to talk about Touchdown, the founding story, how we came together, and why we built Touchdown.
Yeah, so I'm Enrique. I'm the head of immigration at Touchdown. So I oversee everything related to immigration, either it's visas, residency permits, or more practical aspects of life after you land.
I'm Manuel. I'm a Portuguese tax lawyer. I've been working exclusively with expats for my entire career. I try to give people the best setups before they come to Portugal, and also to help them comply with all of their obligations once they are in Portugal.
Yeah, so my relocation to Portugal was a very difficult process. And I think some of the best products are built by the very people that suffer through a journey of not having a good process, through a bad experience, through difficulty. And I think it's very important to build products that you can personally relate to. For me, that was my journey of coming to Portugal. In the UK, we have incredibly poor weather, as a lot of folks watching this might appreciate. And as you guys definitely know, 9 months of the year is grey and wet. Contrasting that with 300 days of sunshine in Portugal, which we actually know from our survey results is a huge motivator for people to move. 60% of the folks that we spoke to said that weather is a huge motivator driver to move away from the UK. So for me, lifestyle, but also the perceived accessibility of Portugal was a huge motivating factor. There was a lot of headlines at the time that it was easy to come to Portugal. So I remember I applied under the digital nomad visa, or the remote worker visa. This process was pitched to me as an easy process, but at the time there was a massive backlog of applications. And I remember I contracted a law firm who, in retrospect, didn't do a good job, but at the time I thought I was in good hands. And they effectively structured my application, helped me book an appointment to go to the consulate. Obviously, after Brexit, the United Kingdom was no longer part of the European Union. So in order to move to Spain, to Portugal, to any other European country, you need a visa. My journey was to come to Portugal under the nomad visa, the digital nomad or remote worker visa. My knowledge of the language was zero, and coming to Portugal, to going through that process, all the bureaucratic jumps, filling out the application, it was a very overwhelming process for me to handle. What happened in the end was I was waiting a year and a half to be issued a visa to come to Portugal. One example of a difficulty that I had encountered, obviously you need somewhere to live, but more importantly, in order to get a visa, you've got to prove that you have access to long-term accommodation. The way that I had chosen to handle this is I convinced two of my friends who I was working with at the time to come and live with me and rent a flat together. And we'd found an apartment that we'd liked. The apartment building was actually so new that there was no water hooked up to the building. I had to call EPAL, which is the municipal water company in Lisbon, to ask them to hook up the water. But obviously they didn't speak any English and I didn't speak any Portuguese. So I was sat there without running water in a flat for about a week until I managed to find someone who spoke Portuguese to call the water company and hook up the utilities. I think in moments like that, you forget how good it is to have someone help you with that journey. I spent a month just onboarding myself onto the country. And one of the main motivations or motivators for starting Touchdown was, how do we make this process as stress-free and as easy as possible for folks who are coming to Portugal? How do we give them that end-to-end solution? I think a big part of what we're trying to do with Touchdown is use technology and use automation to make sure that all the documents are in order, your application form's correctly filled out, you're not missing anything, you know when your visa appointment is, you turn up and everything's ready. And that's just the beginning of the journey. A big part of what I think separates this team from everyone else is that we really prioritize transparency and control over the whole process, because trust is a massive issue. When you're moving to another country, you need to know that you can trust your partner in moving to that country, whoever's helping you do that. We speak so much about the process of moving. We don't speak very much about life in Portugal after landing there. And it's very fascinating because as you folks saw, we surveyed 500 entrepreneurs or business owners in the UK. And what we found is that out of those 500 we spoke to, 1/4 of them are already thinking of leaving the UK in the next 2 years. And if you drill down into that quarter, 25%, which in my opinion is a huge statistic, you'll find that over half of them are looking at Spain or Portugal. And these are obviously our markets. Portugal and Spain both have just been magnets for a lot of folks from the UK, but also from the US and other European countries. What we, I think, do very well is also build that community and make sure that we can facilitate a platform for people after they move to Portugal to kind of integrate in a nice, smooth way, meet other like-minded people, and give them access to a wider network of folks working either in the same industries or with similar business interests and similar journeys.